What if I told you that pretty much everything we see in the movies and on TV about what it takes to become a millionaire is just plain wrong? Well, today, we're going to tear those myths apart. We're diving into the hard data from one of the biggest studies ever done on US millionaires to find out how regular, everyday people actually build some pretty extraordinary wealth.
So, when I say the word millionaire, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Is it some tech genius out in Silicon Valley? Maybe a celebrity hopping on a private jet? Or a Wall Street tycoon in a fancy penthouse? Go ahead, get that picture clear in your mind. You got it? Okay, hold that thought. Because according to the actual research, this is a whole lot closer to the truth. We're talking about teachers, engineers, farmers, even firefighters. The data shows that the typical millionaire isn't some household name. They're far more likely to be your next-door neighbor. They are, truly, everyday people. And that brings us to a really critical point. For decades, we've all been sold this story about wealth, a story that makes it feel totally out of reach, like it's some exclusive club that you and I can't get into. But it turns out that story, it's a lie. Okay, before we go any further, let's be super clear about what we even mean by millionaire. This isn't about making $1 million salary. Not at all. The study uses really simple math. It's your assets, things like your investments, your home, minus your liabilities, like your mortgage or any other debt. If that number hits $1 million or more, you're in. So it's not about how much you make in a year. It's about the total value of what you've built. And here's the real kicker. The research found that the biggest thing holding people back from building wealth wasn't their job or their income or where they came from. Nope, it was the powerful myths they believed about how wealth is built in the first place. And those stories we tell ourselves, they often become our own biggest roadblocks. So, that's exactly what we're going to do right now. We are going to take the 4 biggest myths about millionaires and just obliterate them with the actual data from this massive study. Let's start swinging the sledgehammer. All right, here it is, the big one, the myth we hear all the time. It's this idea that you have to be born on third base, right? That all millionaires are just people who won the lottery at birth and got a huge pile of cash handed down from their parents. But the data, well, it tells a completely different story. Look at this. That huge purple slice of the pie, that's a staggering 79% of millionaires who got zero inheritance. Zilch, nada. And for the small group that did get something, only that tiny little sliver, just 3% inherited $1 million or more. The overwhelming majority are self-made. Okay, on to myth number 2. This is such a convenient excuse, isn't it? Oh, they just got lucky. They picked the right stock. They were just in the right place at the right time. It completely dismisses all the hard work and just chalks it all up to random chance. But here's what's so fascinating. The millionaires themselves, they completely disagree. More than 3/4 of them believe that discipline and hard work are the real keys, not luck. The researchers call this an abundance mindset, the belief that you create your own opportunities, instead of a scarcity mindset, which sees success as some limited thing you have to get lucky to find. This one is straight out of a Hollywood movie. The high roller who bets the farm on one single crazy risky venture and somehow wins big. We're basically taught that to build real wealth, you have to take these huge, heart-pounding risks. The truth, though, is almost boringly sensible. The study found that everyday millionaires are not gamblers, they're methodical investors. They consistently put money into things like their employer-sponsored retirement plans, like a 401k, a common workplace savings account. They're not chasing fads. They focus on slow, steady, long-term growth. Think of Joe from the study, a military vet who just patiently invested for decades, building his wealth brick by brick, not with some winning lottery ticket. And that brings us to the last big myth, the idea that you have to come from privilege to end up wealthy. That you had to grow up in some high-income, upper-crust family to even have a chance. And once again, the data just shatters that myth. I mean, look at this. A full 8 out of 10 millionaires in the study came from families with middle-class incomes, or less. They didn't start with a silver spoon. They started from the same place most of us do, which proves your starting line does not have to be your finish line. So, if it's not inheritance, not luck, not big risks, and not a rich family, then how in the world do they actually do it? Well, the research boils it all down to 5 core habits. And honestly, they're accessible to pretty much anyone. I really love this way of thinking about it. Building wealth isn't like a lightning strike. It's more like planting a tree. It doesn't just pop up overnight. It takes planting the right seeds, those are the habits, and then just tending to them consistently over a long, long time. And here they are, the 5 things they all had in common. First, they take personal responsibility. They own their financial lives instead of blaming their circumstances. Second, they're intentional. Their money has a plan. They make a budget and live on less than they make. Third, they're goal-oriented. They're not just saving for a rainy day. They have a clear purpose. Fourth, they work hard. No surprise there. And finally, and this might be the most important one, they stay consistent. They stick with the plan year after year, even when it gets boring. So we've busted the myths. We've laid out the 5 key habits. But all of this, really, it all comes down to a single starting point. It's a choice you have to make before any of those habits can even begin to take root.
Now, let's be real for a second. The path is not the same for everybody. It's true that there are real socioeconomic factors out there that can put up huge hurdles for a lot of people. It's not always a level playing field, and that's a really crucial part of this whole conversation. And yet, despite all of those very real challenges, the study found one single non-negotiable thing that every single one of these millionaires had in common. Before they ever saved their first dollar, before they set their first goal, they had to believe that it was possible for them. That fundamental belief was the engine that powered all the habits that came after.
At the end of the day, the data shows that the blueprint used by thousands of regular people, it isn't a secret. The myths have been busted and the habits are simple, though not always easy. So really, the final question isn't about how they did it. It's about you. The path